Are you jealous?
Oh shit, here we go again.
Bitch, are you jealous?
Oh shit, here we go again.
What's up?
I feel like that beat played like a little bit longer than
Yeah,
normal.
kind of refused to go away, man.
Like, nah. Yeah, I fucking with it.
What up? So I make mad beats live in effect from outer space and unapologetic studio. We're here with another episode of Type Beat, producer podcast, where producers, engineers, creators of all kinds sit and discuss things that might typically deem us as nerdy or inquisitive and curious. But we're here to talk about all the things today. My name is I Make Mad Beats. Behind me is my cast.
What up, what up, what up? LJ1S.
Unique.
C major.
Kid Maestro.
Kidrick LeMaestro. All right, man. What are we even talking about today, bro?
Man, the streets.
What are we talking about
Always.
as a whole?
Yeah, as a whole, definitely the streets.
man, we get into the producer rules. Do they still stand? What was the purpose of it? Where did it start?
Yeah.
What is going on, bro?
Sorry, I was just like really remembering the origin of what are we talking about as a whole.
Legendary.
It's a funny moment.
The legendary
Can you
moment.
be a good producer but a terrible beat maker?
It's a good question. It's a great question.
And in this time and era,
Yeah.
do you want to be signed or be independent? Like, what's the goal? What we shooting for? What's the difference? What changed? But yeah, man, I feel like it's tight beat. Gotta jump off with the producer's question. Man, the producer rules.
Yeah.
More so, like, I know once I started this journey, one of the main things, it had to be sampling something too soon. Like, for me, I like just thinking about that. I'm like, why? Why was that even a thing? Why even care about, the timeline of? Because if the goal is just to create something in any way, like, why does it matter that it's coming from a certain era, or? So yeah, man. Like, do those rules still apply? Do y'all still go by those rules? Do y'all care about these rules?
You know what I want to know though? Before we even get into this, joint,
Fuck your question, nigga. What we do?
I want to
Hold
know.
on, really quick. I'm sorry, I don't mean to disrupt. I'm recognizing some interesting technical difficulties right now. I just peeped the IG stream. It's not streaming the right way visually. So with that being said, I would much rather not restart the stream. However, if you are checking us out on IG, please hit us up on YouTube. I think I'm going to end the live here, right? And simplify.
See me on IG.
That's it, bro. You just look at C-Mage. Let me see what this even look like. Let me
I
see.
mean, I look the fuck good. I don't know
Damn,
who this
that's
nigga
crazy.
is.
I don't know who this nigga is.
I don't know what he do.
Right. He important.
But yeah, we're gonna switch it up, man. If you're checking us out on if you're checking us out on IG, please check us out on YouTube, on Facebook, or on Twitch, right? Which is where we're natively set up as well.
Why are you like this?
Man, I would love to. Okay.
Find out.
Yeah, so we're gonna close down this John on IG. Shout out to all my IG thugs and villains. Y'all move on over to YouTube. All right. All right,
man.
Bet. Continuing on. So we live on Twitch, Facebook, and on YouTube. Holla at us. As always, we prioritize the guests' comments and questions. So if you have comments and questions, please shoot us please shoot that through the chat. We will respond. We will stop to make sure that we respond to you as we prioritize your involvement and engagement. What were we talking about, LJ?
Man, we talking about producer rules. As far as like the whole idea of having to wait a certain time or period to sample something, getting your samples from a certain era, stuff of that nature. The idea of what's the climate of being a signed artist versus an independent artist, and can you be a great or good producer but a terrible beat maker? Yeah, but same kid had a question outside of those questions.
It was just we was about to talk about the producer rules,
Right?
In terms of like sampling. My question is, as a fact, what was the original like length of time that a sample? Like, what was the original rule? Because I really don't know.
That was good. That was good.
5 to 6 seconds or something.
No, we talking about this.
Wait a minute.
fine.
Wait a
Yeah, no,
minute.
I'm gonna
Wait a
be
minute. Wait a minute.
I feel like this is the question you did. All right.
I get what you're saying. Yes, it's. She said 5 to 6 seconds. So the era, how long the song had to been out before you could sample something.
You said that so matter of fact. Actually, 5 to 6 seconds was the.
I think the earliest that I've heard, like, at least 5 years. But again, I think that's the earliest as far as the timeline that I've heard, at least 5 years.
So it had to have been out 5 years. Can you concur, Matt? Was that like
Hell
the?
nah.
That's what I've heard. But again, I know it's different.
It's wild different, bro. It's wild different. So when I first started making beats, the rule, if there was a rule, right? I'm not saying everybody followed it.
Yeah.
There were definitely exceptions, but I think the general rule in the sampling community was 20 years. Right? So in the 90s, you had to sample something in the 70s. You were sampling something in the 80s and the 90s, it was looking like think about it.
Yeah.
That's how P. Diddy got criticized.
Yeah.
Sampling stuff in the 80s in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right? Like if what he was sampling was from the 70s, he wouldn't have got that criticism.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it was the 20 year. 20 years was the original this is the rule.
This was the original No Diddy.
That's facts.
You know what I'm saying?
That's facts.
All right, so I guess what was
Yeah.
like what started that rule? Why did that become a thing, and why did like so many producers respect it?
Yeah.
I would think it was copycatting, like kind of almost like there was no originality to it if you brought it up too early, like, and then, you know, you give niggas time to forget about the song somewhat, like, you know, and bring it back to life in a different form.
See, even that sounds crazy to me. Like again, like before we went live, niggas clown me. I compared it to making an omelet. You know, if you want an omelet,
Hungry, ain't it?
it might be. But if you want an omelet, you know, when you got ingredients, you're not on some like, well, I just bought these ingredients, I can't make an omelet today. It's like if the goal is to create something new off of your something that inspired you, why does it have to?
I think you know, now obviously that's changed.
Yeah.
But I think in your analogy, it would be like you hungry, so you go and buy the ingredients to make an omelet, but you bought the cheapest ingredients versus the premium ingredients, and that's what people are judging. Like you,
Yeah, omelet.
What makes because time makes your ingredients more, you know.
well, I mean, no, the quality of the chicken first of all, like how it's
Chicken.
raised.
Right, but that's
grass-fed,
what
you know
I'm saying
I'm
is
trying to figure out
if
is how are you
I thought-
paralleling that to the current?
Well,
Yeah.
I think obscurity made a sample more or an ingredient more high grade. That was one of the elements. How old it was one of those things, and I feel like between those two, like the more obscure or the older the sample, those are things that raise the quality. So, like the more recent, like stuff in the '90s, stuff in the '80s. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's not like it was you couldn't make a dope joint. It was just not perceived as a higher quality ingredient or sample. Yeah. And I feel like the more well known it was, might have been a toss up because you know what I'm saying? But even when we look at Diddy, when he was doing it, he was sampling these huge extra famous global records and was getting criticized for doing so.
right, yeah.
So I feel like just
Kanye
those
did
were the
it.
times.
And he didn't
Yeah,
get
but that's what I'm
criticized.
saying. I remember like
But that was years ago, though.
I remember that time. I remember going through that, like you said. I remember the conversations about hearing Diddy being like, he's not a producer. He just flipping the most recent hit. And I get that. But it's like, what's the goal? If you're inspired by something, you like, and it's going to work. Because even if you flip the most successful joint, it's still so many other elements that go into making it a hit.
Well, I think that's where, you know, I don't know if Diddy was a pioneer, but I think that was the challenge. It was like, but, you know what I'm saying? But I think that was the challenge of like, why, you know, I think he would agree with you. Like, why would I not sample this if it's hard and it inspired me to make a song? But I just think among the producer community, these were the things that made the skill of being a producer and what you did more valuable. It's kind of it's similar to like, I mean, we went through the same thing with like Splice. I think we all would deem, regardless of the final product, I think we all would deem somebody who could play and make a sample a higher skilled producer than somebody who
Yeah.
can find a good sample on Spice. I think we would just agree on that. And it wouldn't change the quality of the song necessarily, but it would change the perception of the process in the producer.
Yeah, I think there's several things that just have to be considered when it comes to this. First and foremost, like, we're removed from the era of how important the DJ was, right? So right now we're just looking at it as sampling, right? And how long, blah blah blah. Like y'all gotta understand, like when it comes to hip hop, like the rapper and a hit song was not always at the top of the totem pole
Right.
of hip hop,
Right.
right?
Right.
When hip hop started, the top of the totem pole was the DJ,
Definitely.
right? And then even before the rapper, you had like breakers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then somewhere between rappers, you had like graffiti and all these other elements. You know what I'm saying? But like the DJ was number one. Now, if we're talking, remember we're thinking 70s and 80s, right? Excuse me. What made someone a great DJ in that time, right? It was having introducing new music,
Right.
obscure music, right? Music that you had never heard before, knowing that like back then, if you had a record that nobody in your city had, in order for people to hear it, they had to go and get you.
Right.
Right? This was not, again, like this isn't, Spotify didn't exist yet. Nobody's just
right,
Googling or looking up YouTube. Nobody's hitting Shazam.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm
100%,
saying? And figuring out what this song is.
Right.
Right? So exclusivity, you going way out of your way to diversify your crates and the songs you're bringing and introducing to people went a long way in how valuable you were. Right? Of course that translated and converted to the producer aspect of hip hop, because in the beginning, all the producers were DJs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
True.
Right.
Fact.
So you have like, your ability to find unique sounds and introduce unique rhythms directly played into how valuable people saw you as a producer. Absolutely.
Was Puffy the beginning of that shift?
Yeah, I think that era was like the bubblegum or whatever y'all wanted to call like that style of rap, that era of rap. I think he was like one of the pioneers of it. Especially like not just like newer songs. I think the time limit did exist, but I think more so than a time limit, it was obscurity. Like sampling a hit was just not like
Absolutely.
niggas used to chop shit up so you didn't know what it was.
I can see.
fact.
I can definitely see that rule and why
yeah.
other producers will look at you like, nah, bro,
Yeah.
that ain't it. I
And
can see
I
it.
think bigger than that, what people had an issue with Diddy was that nigga didn't do no chopping.
Yeah, he just-
it
Yeah.
wasn't it was just straight
Yeah.
loop
Yeah.
of a very famous song that niggas knew.
I don't think that there is a thing, right? If there is, it's probably something born out of the last 10 years. But if you could go 2015 and beyond, right? Go into the past, right? Is there anything that doesn't start out skill and technicality focused before it gets absorbed by commercialism, and now the whole point of it is to make a hit of whatever it is? Everything starts out with like purist. Y'all go and do the research.
I feel that.
The OGs who created McDonald's were all about a great hamburger.
That's right.
That is like,
That's right.
the right beef, the
That's right.
right bread, the right ingredients. They were not trying to commercialize making burgers. They were making like niche, like readily available,
Family
but
food.
we really care about the ingredients and our ability to make burgers. Right? So even the most commodified thing ever, the cheeseburger, in the beginning, those people really cared about the skill of it.
Yeah.
Right? And hip hop is no different. Hip hop is no different. In the beginning, like people really cared about the skill of it. And I think the values have changed so much. Now people care about, I find that most people just care about the end result of it. Did it become a hit song? Was the song successful? How many listeners do you have on Spotify in a month? Right? These are the parameters in which we deem something is good or bad. And that wasn't the case in the beginning of most things.
Yeah.
How you usually determine if whether or not something was good or bad was how skilled the person was who made it, and how clearly you can see the skill in what they created. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good point about the DJ.
Yeah.
Just because, you know what I'm saying, just from like the looping up the breaks live at the joint, from having the records that
Scratching.
had the dope breaks. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
that was the
a
thing.
new break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was
And it was skill with
that was
that.
everything, and it brought excitement because you knew you were gonna hear something you hadn't heard before.
I agree. I think, at least for me, just the idea of the time period and stuff, especially now because we have the internet. Like you said, we have Spotify. I can listen to music across the globe, and it could have been something that just dropped yesterday. If it's amazing to me and it inspires something,
Yeah,
I
I think I'm like still surprised when like kind of OGs. I think the Mad Villainy, what's the accordion?
Yeah.
That sample is like from 06 or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. And it always, when I see stuff like that, it always shocks me. Like, dang, like, he probably found that record. He just like what you say, he probably found that record overseas somewhere, wherever, and didn't give a fuck. But it was still obscure as hell. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never knew that.
I'm pretty sure that's
It was
that's Daedalus. They was on the
Daedalus.
same label.
Yeah.
That was on the same. Oh, so
I don't
that's
know
what
if
it
Daedalus was
Okay.
on Stones Throw,
It's definitely Daedalus though.
Okay.
but it was from the same time.
time
Yeah.
period.
Absolutely, same time. Both are niche artists,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I think it's like I said. There's always exclusions to it. I agree with C. Mage when I think it's the obscurity.
Yeah.
I think time and obscurity mattered in the sampling rules, but I think obscurity mattered more,
Yeah.
right? Like
I can see that.
absolutely. I think if somebody in 1997 sampled, some Italian band that nobody in the United States had ever heard of, I don't think that, because I think that person still gets props for like, you found that record. You were over there, and you had, and at that time you had to be in Italy. They
Yeah.
weren't getting distribution over here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think you still get props for that, et cetera, et cetera. And I also think that Madlib's crates are so deep that if Madlib sampled something that happened right now,
Ain't
nobody's really going to criticize him because
Because he got
You know he can do it. Yeah. You know
You
what
know,
he's done.
he would do more than you to get a record.
absolutely,
That's right.
absolutely.
That's right.
And I think I know for me, like, of course, having the rarest of the rarest is amazing. I love hearing, just music in general that I've never heard. But I think it's more so about what the skill set comes in. It's more so how the producer approaches the record. Because you can flip something that dropped yesterday, but if you flip it in a certain way, to me, I'm not going to care about that. Especially if it's dope to me.
Yeah, I think that's just been a shift in the paradigm. I think one thing I feel like, Matt, I would like for you to kind of talk on in terms of that shift of like sampling a hit, because I remember you specifically telling the story of why you made the Off the Wall flip.
Yeah.
It's because like you had been told that you should sample something everybody knows.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just given the history of how things progress, like had that been, 15 years prior, I don't
Yeah.
know if that would have been
Nah, it wouldn't have been cool at all.
yeah.
No, it wouldn't
You
be
know
cool. But I'll say this though, man. Like even when it was my man Midas who told me that, Midas was like, because Midas sits there and watches me make beats, and he was just like, man, like you do all these crazy chops, but nobody really knows what you're doing because the stuff you're sampling, people don't know what you did to it. They don't know how it originally sounded. And so he's the one who told me like, yo, you should sample something crazy that everybody knows. And to me, nobody's more well known than Michael
Yeah,
Jackson.
Mike, yeah.
And my favorite album of his is Off the Wall. So, so I went and sampled it. But I think for me, it again, like as a producer purist of sorts, you know what I'm saying? Like I had to flip it in a way that looked like, how does anybody even think of this?
Right.
If I had just found like even a 1-bar loop in it, hell, I couldn't have there's no way I would have let that fly. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that anyone is wrong for doing that.
Right.
As a producer, I hang my hat on like an abundance of creativity. You know what I'm saying? And just the fact that like I can take something that other people have and still do it in an incredibly unique way.
Right.
So I just needed to make sure that like I know factually, like, you know, if no one heard my version of this, I can give the off the wall, you know, song to 10,000 producers. None of them are going to do what I did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I feel confident about that. Versus if I had just sampled like a bar or two
Right,
bars,
right.
put some drums underneath it, and just added, you know, an 808 every now and then. If I had done that, I would feel like if I gave that song to 10,000 folks,
Someone's gonna do
somebody's
something
going to do
crazy.
that or something really close to
Yeah.
that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so for me, it was just a matter of like showing the skill. I feel like I think a producer who has done that relatively well at every level is probably DJ Premier. I can't think of someone I mean, you know, now DJ Premier at this point, I wouldn't necessarily consider DJ Premier in 2025 a commercial rap producer, right? But in the 90s and in the early 2000s,
Yeah, he was
a third of the hits
Yeah.
on radio,
Yeah,
commercial rap,
it's crazy.
were produced by DJ Premier. You know what I'm saying? And right next to a Diddy or a Puff Daddy at the time, you know, looping up 8 bars or whatever, was also DJ Premier.
Yeah.
You know, creates sampling things that were known, not so known, and you had no idea what the original sample was.
Yeah.
You know, like he's a guy who did that quite well at every level to show that you can care about these things and still make commercially accessible music. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was it just makes me think then, what do y'all think was well, I know I think I know what is more important. But when we talked about like the time of the sample being an ingredient, the obscurity of the sample, but you just introduced to like how you flipped it as like an ingredient because you couldn't just let it be a bar loop anywhere.
Yeah.
So what was more important, the obscurity of the sample or the flip? Like if you just looped up, because now I'm thinking about Madlib, the loop digger, right? Who had extremely obscure samples,
Yeah.
but was looping them up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, was he criticized at all for that, or does obscurity trump the chopping? You know what I mean? In that time.
I think that for Madlib, I think Madlib lived in like a vortex of like these kinds of ideas because Madlib's output was so ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But Madlib was also from a time, you know, he originates from a time where, you know, no, the loop is just fine, especially if it's rare.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I don't think that, you know, that's how you get a DJ Muggs. That's how you get a RZA. That's how you get the original, you know, that's how you get what became Alchemist.
Yep.
Right? It's these people who are experts at finding the start and stop point of a good loop. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's respected as long as you're like, as long as it's clear that the work you're putting in is in the search for that loop. You know, that's how it was. That's how it was.
Right.
I think that's gone now. But
Yeah.
I definitely think obscurity trumps the chop, but the chop is probably like right there under it.
Yeah.
Dilla was the chop, you know,
Yeah.
God, whatever. You
Dilla
want.
did all that shit.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he did every
All the
obscure, very well known. Like he's just, I feel like that's where, as a producer, you just want to live. Cause I fuck with today's. Like I think today we're so far from that. Like niggas literally just finding whatever was popping in the 2010s and
Just,
you know
bro.
throwing some new drums. It's really just a new bounce. They're not changing anything.
That's the wild part to me. Like it literally
It's
be
the same.
And even now, like it's the same. Like the Lil Boosie Independent Glow. That's the
Yeah,
same.
same
They
joint.
just got the
Literally.
instrumental from.
Literally.
Real quick, we got a quick comment in from Salvia. He says, I think also in the digital age, there are evolving ideas on whether something is considered a sample. If one makes the drums for a song from scratch and then makes a kit out of those drums, are the drums now samples? Yes. Or is the sample exclusively the idea that someone else created whatever one is using? I think in this case we're talking about people sampling other people's creations.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not just talking about an analog sound recorded into a digital space.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it's I don't know. Again, I think the skill overall for me, like you said, it's something about creating something and it being an 8-bar loop. Like it's cool, but I know me, the producer, me, be like, it's always a feel like I ain't doing enough to this. And as another, it's like I'm trying to find that balance with that because there has been moments where me wanting to alter this so much to where like it takes so much time away from just the idea and then it turns into something else. So trying to find that balance of like, nah, this loop is dope enough to like let's keep going and keep building versus me being like, nah, I need to chop this joint some more. I need to do another crazy flip or something.
It's knowing your like clientele too. That's where we're gonna talk about beat making versus producing later, I think. But that's where you get into like what Diddy was great at. He knew it didn't matter because he had Mace. Like Feel So Good is crazy because it's a loop, but Mace found the pocket. Like nigga, we had heard motherfuckers singing on this, and like we had heard the original. We never heard Mace. I just know about
The
the
bounce
was
on it was crazy.
the bounce was so crazy that just gave it a whole new vibe. But Diddy, like Puff back then, like he knew that. Like he knew it then. You know what I'm saying? That I got Biggie and like I got
Really
tools.
knew his tools.
Yeah.
And knew how to get the best out of people.
Yeah.
And that was linked to like partying and
Where you going? Where you going, kid?
How you get the
Right, bro, what?
Hey, are these techniques you use?
Baby oil too hard. This man out here.
Oh
We
my
might have to go
God.
to a commercial break, man. We'll be right back.
Diddy oil is wild.
type beat uncut.
No, bro, nah.
Where you going, my boy? I don't want to go there with you.
Oh my God.
Oh man. Okay, well, I feel
Well,
like
before we move on, I want to
Alright.
know like what are so we talked about like those rules, but to you specifically, LJ, but to everybody, what are there any new rules? Are there any rules today that either you feel personally or that are just like widely accepted that are like
bro.
that are would be considered our today's version of that?
Yeah, that's how I feel. I don't feel there are really any
It
rules
isn't
because
anymore.
I mean, I don't feel the skill set is the bar as far as the skills is held as high because of a splice or something like that.
Just for the sake of like devil's advocate. Hey, yo, LJ, let's just say you made a beat,
Yep.
right? Can I just loop up your beat? And be like, yo, produced by Nick Mad Beats? Like,
That shit wow.
I wouldn't fuck with that, but
I'm saying, hold on. We saying there's no rules.
Yeah.
So could I?
But really,
I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
Honestly, I feel like that's what's happening.
That's what's happening.
today, bro.
Yeah.
The Lil Boosie joint,
It's the
bro,
same
it's
shit.
The same beat, and I don't know. I need to check the credits because I don't know if
Hold on,
there's
but I'm saying though, but is that produced by I Make Mad Beats?
that's why I need to check the
That
credits
shit
on that
happened
Ghost
to
song.
me. Motherfucker took over and said produced by such and such, and took my beat and looped it.
And I think
tried
that's
to
two.
sell
I
it.
think that's two different genres too. Like I'm talking about a very like a hit
Known song,
a
yeah.
popular song. Like if a nigga just take your beat, then there's a nigga just taking your beat.
Yeah.
But Independent was already a very
sketchy. Yeah,
it was already
It's that
a
world.
very popular song, and then they just basically rapped over the same beat.
Same shit. I don't even think the
They beefed
tempo
up
is
the
different.
They beefed up the bass.
Yeah, I think they changed a little bit in the drums, and so maybe you. I know that.
Hold on, no, really quick though. If LJ make a beat right quick and then I sample it, I'm about to fuck y'all up, and then I just loop it up. Let's say produced by I Make Mad Beats, right? I'm gonna get looked down on, right? Like I'm gonna get some sort of negative response, right?
Yeah,
Right.
that's illegal.
Oh, hold on. What's the difference between that and RZA making Cream?
I feel like that was coming. I knew.
Yeah, I don't think that would be because that would be kind of like the same thing. It's kind of like me taking someone's like shirt and upcycling it to something different, although it was made by them originally. I call it my stuff.
He didn't change anything.
Nah,
I think
that's my point.
I think
It's literally a loop.
I think that's
Even
where the
the
time.
drums.
I think that's where the time comes in, though, right? Because Cream, I don't know when the original came out, but it had to be
was
at
like
least
the
20 years or some shit like that. Like I think that's where, like, if
I thought those were the 70s.
and then that was a fairly popular song, maybe. I don't know, maybe not. But
Yeah. So I guess okay. So with that being said, right? With that being said, if that's the case, then we're saying time still matters because
It's the
technically,
same shit.
I'm not doing anything different than what RZA did with the original sample for Cream. The only difference is how old the music was when he did it.
Yeah, but now you fucking me up because time it don't because that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
it used to. In that case, when that happened, it did matter. Now I don't think it does. Like
Hold on. Okay.
I don't-
Okay. So okay. No. Wait. Okay. So you're saying time does not matter, right? Okay. Let's rewind the clip. 3 minutes ago, I asked y'all. I said, if I did that, would
Yeah,
I
with
get some
Ezra,
negative feedback?
Yeah.
Would I get a negative sentiment for doing that? Everybody said, yeah.
yeah.
I say yes.
I think what it more so is I think what I'm struggling with in that is the type of artist, honestly. Like if you do that with another nigga that do the same thing you do, I feel like that's different than if you do that same thing with somebody from another genre.
Yeah. And that's what I'm thinking. Like in that case, Cream, you got the woo on there, like completely different than the original song. Now, if you loop some shit that I made and I was about to get pro on this song, then you just loop this bitch like, all right, pro, I got a beat for you. Then I'm like, come on, bro. Like you, especially if it produced the same result, like the outcome of the beat, the song is the same thing. Now, if, like you said, like if you do something completely different, then that's a different take. If you approach it differently, if you different artists, stuff like that, I think it's different in that case. But if you just flip the joint, you just loop what I
The
did.
more I'm hearing this, I think time matters, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Okay,
I
so- okay,
realized
hold
that
on.
I'm just old as
does.
hell.
I just want to be clear about something. I only propose this issue because saying there are no more rules felt like an easy cop out. You know what I'm saying? I think that there are more rules.
Very much so.
You just got to present the scenario that says, okay, wait a minute. You have a problem with that, don't you? Then that means that there's some rules here. You know what I'm saying?
These nuts is really 20 years. I'm just old, bro. They feel like
Yeah, because I mean, again, I'm
they feel
thinking
like yesterday, but these nuts is 20 years.
I'm
old,
thinking
bro.
about the Boosie and the Glow. Like again, it's the same.
Independent was like what 20?
Yeah,
that was 20
that
years.
was-
Was
it was-
20 years ago?
We
Like,
were that was us.
crazy.
Damn.
What came out in 2010? Like, so damn, ain't nobody sampling none of the. They don't even know what came out in the 2010s. That's like
Yeah.
Kid Cudi and shit.
Yeah, that's like Cudi.
What came out in 2005?
That's like Jeezy, Snow Trapper
Yeah.
died, late Trapper died era type shit.
2005 is what niggas is sampling today, and
Yeah,
that
niggas
shit
is
is
selling like niggas is selling like
Shit.
2000 to 2010.
Niggas flipping.
Niggas is
Soldier
taking
Boy, bro.
the 2016 essence. Like there's a like that Jeezy Atlanta drum, like them drums and how they sound like Lex Luger shit. I think that sound is coming back, but niggas is not necessarily sampling.
What
those.
the-
So that makes me think. So is it a difference? Like if you, I guess in this case, you sample the same type of drums and drum style versus the melodic elements or the
They do that all
sample.
the time.
Bruh. Okay.
But I'm saying, do you view those producers differently? Like if they just maybe it's a different melodic, elements or whatever, but they took the drums from a popular song. It has a different bounce, but it's a different chord structure or something.
I wouldn't even think about that because they actually do that a lot.
I do feel like sampling drums is looked at differently than sampling melodies and chord progressions. I don't think sampling drums has ever had the same snobbery or
Yeah.
rules. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I agree. Man, yeah, because I'm thinking about like like Kendrick songs and stuff, bruh. What's the joint?
He sampled 24 Karat though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
24
it's,
Karat
it's,
Gold
and
is
it's
like-
crazy the way they
It's,
flip.
it's like a modern,
But it's how he flipped it though,
He
which
flipped the
was
shit out that
fucking
bitch.
insane.
the modern joint. Even the recipe when it came out, I feel like that song got probably
The
come
joint
out
with
just like-
that Knife produced. What was that? Cause he sampled
Coyotes, Coyotes.
yeah.
Yes.
So I think genre matters too, because this is like a new thing where
I
like we
feel that.
sampling hip hop.
I definitely feel that.
I think you said it best. I think it being a different genre
yeah.
Makes
matters a lot because even I think about with Stan, right? Like when Eminem sampled that joint,
yeah, he did just
Mark the 45 King, rest in peace. When he sampled that, like that song was like
Yeah.
a song.
yeah. Sure was. It was his own song. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, he sampled the hook.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? Like, it
On
was-
something like this, the remix. Like,
yeah.
Like featuring her.
it's crazy.
Yeah, but really blew her up though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Facts though.
Really
Facts
blew her up.
though.
That's right.
Damn.
But this made me think about sampling hip hop in general, and then it made me think about how like I just be thinking you know what's one of the biggest things I wish I could see is like all the way from like Eric B and Rakim to like 3-6 Mafia when they would like where the hook would be like either a record scratch or a loop of another rap song. You know what I'm saying? Like all that
You know
shit
what?
was like
I
the
used to
same.
fuck with that though.
I could never tell because I don't be knowing the original songs. I could never tell if that was like something they just recorded and then threw and just like scratched that joint or just looped it up, or if that really was other songs from the same time period.
Other songs that they produced.
I
Yeah.
fuck
Hell
with that
yeah.
even though to today though, like taking a hook from somewhere else and putting it on something. Like I definitely fuck with that today.
Yeah, it's tricky, man, because like, you know, those rules existed. It's a spectrum of things, meaning like, no one is saying like, yo, back when it started, nobody was doing this. Nah, like, I mean, back when it started, people were doing that too. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, I don't think people were as threatened by it because there was still a very clear focus on the skill and technique of it. I think when people started to feel like, wait a minute, people are doing this too much. That's when the real rule implementation and the purists started to hold up staffs and say, wait a minute,
Right.
let's
Yeah.
stop this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the beginning when it was happening, people were like, okay, that's cool. You know, it's fine. Because it just wasn't a majority thing, you know. Because, you know, you can go all the way back, man. Like, I can think of songs from the 80s in hip-hop. They were sampling popular songs. You know, it's and I want to be real, especially in the South, right? Especially in the South, like Kid said, man, like, you know, there were a lot, even like early 3-6, like, again, like, there's this kind of like ambiguity of the difference between a DJ and a producer, and DJs made mixes.
Yeah.
Mixes pull together already existing things,
Facts.
right? And so when DJ Paul would drop a mixtape, right, some of that stuff would be including already existing records
Yeah.
but he was at the same time a producer.
Right.
And so he would, you know, he would kind of bring these two worlds together, you know. So, no, I won't. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, all of that was happening. I just think people's alarms went off when it felt like, all right, wait a minute, we doing this a little bit too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think again, even with just the idea of sampling the same stuff or sampling something that's recent, the issue something that I'm conflicted with is so many people still, even producers, artists, it sounds the same. Like everyone's about using the same drum kits, the same type of samples with the same approach. Like I feel like, for me at least, and growing up in this, even if you sample something recent, you know, we've done producer challenges. We all get the same sample, but we still like live within our own creativity to where we like, no matter what, you can have the sample, you can have the drums and everything, it's not going to sound like mine. Versus now, I feel like you give most of the people the same sample, they going to flip it the same way, you know.
I feel like there's a portion of that. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I was about to say I feel like a lot of the mainstream music is all being made by the same people too, so it would kind of have a similar.
Otaku sauce waves at Unique and none of the rest of us.
Hi.
I feel like it would.
That was an interesting eye.
Man, what?
I feel like it would have a similar sound, but when the Pharrell and the Neptunes was producing all the radio, all them sounds,
Yeah.
shit sounded the same too. It just was.
But
them.
it was them though. It was,
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's kind of similar. Like it'd be like Buddha Bless This Beat and Southside, Metro.
Yeah.
same
Everything.
producers.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel that.
Nah.
I don't think that's the case in the sense of like, because I see a lot of different names, but a lot of us they sound the same.
Nah. Tunes, a lot of the stuff that was on the radio.
It was their shit.
Yes, a lot of it had similar drum sounds, similar techniques, blah, blah, blah. But you can't compare Neptunes producing a lot of stuff on the radio versus the fact that 90% of literally hundreds of producers are using the same exact drum sounds, and they're all they're all getting placements. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand what you're saying. There are a few major ones. You know what I'm saying? But there are songs going gold and going platinum every day using the exact same sounds
Different producers.
with different producers. It's way different than saying, hey, the Neptunes was doing. Nah, that's wild different.
Yeah. Because the Neptune created their sound. It's like now whatever's playing, that's the sound for everyone to try to kind of go after, which is
Regarding sampling, what is like? Because I feel like I'm been a little out the loop. So, but what's a song that's come out in the last like 3 to 5 years at max that was like a great sample flip?
3 to 5.
Yeah.
Really quick, Otaku-san says there's a lot of crossover of people trying to sound like everybody else they like. That's facts. That's happening
That's
more
big
now than it's
facts.
ever happened before. Ever.
Fact.
Agreed.
But you said 3 to 5 years, great sample.
Great sample flip. Like
Great sample
somebody
flip.
chopped that joint and was like, damn, this shit was hard.
It gotta be a shot.
I mean, maybe not. But I was thinking chop. Like somebody chopped the sample and was like, yo, this shit is hard. You know what I mean?
They
What I'm
chopped
hearing a
something
lot
recent?
is people taking, a song from the early 2000s and flipping that joint. And that flip being looping it, recreating the hook, and adding some 808s.
When did Crash Style come out?
That came out before the pandemic. Yeah.
I know, man. Crash fucked me up though.
Yeah.
Damn.
I feel like I know it's something out there. I just gotta think on it, but I feel like it's something.
Something I would call a flip.
That's a great question.
Because it's making me think there's a real hole in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You really got to start flipping samples for real.
Yeah.
Because I just, like, I'm not saying it don't exist, but I'm just really not thinking of none.
That just jumps out. Nah.
I've enjoyed like people taking and looping up something that we know and putting like the drill shit on there. That sounds cool, but like that's not really what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Like
nah,
somebody
I know what
like
really
Yeah.
flipping. Yeah. I don't know. Sounds something we
I
got.
That's a
think
good
we should
question.
have-
Everybody listening, answer the question. When's the last 3 to 5 years?
yeah.
3 to 5 years, a great sample flip. Unique, what were you saying?
I feel like we should give an example of how we flip samples on the show one day. Like, I think that'd be super dope for the people to see.
Well, I think we already established what. That's when next time kid go out of town. When
Exactly.
next
No, no.
As soon as
Calendar,
you go out
bro.
of time, you guys will get
we
there.
got it.
All right,
But,
we got it. We
yeah.
got that locked in.
Period.
Yeah.
Just want to hear it right now.
Yeah.
Man, talking about this, the producers and just flipping samples, bro. Like, is it possible to be a dope producer but a trash beat maker?
Hell yes.
To be a dope producer, but a trash beat maker.
Yeah.
I respect your transition.
I respect the transition as well. I just want to say real quick for everybody chiming in, we got people chiming in from a variety of different sources: YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. The current question is: can you be
A dope producer.
Can you be a dope producer but a terrible beat maker? Right? That's the current question. Please chime in. Let us know what you think. What y'all think?
I feel like DJ Khaled is
That's the.
The best
kinda the-
example.
is the
Is he a
example.
good producer?
I don't know.
He's not even a.
I mean, he got, if we talk
Oh.
about hits,
He's not even a fucking producer.
JB, what up?
So
Coco, what up?
in terms of you just have to
I-
you just have to believe it or not. But I definitely have heard him talk about in interviews, multiple interviews, of like what he does in the studio is like
Another
get
one.
the right people
That's
in
it.
the room, get the right beat, and instruct people like,
Yeah.
nah, move this joint here,
Yeah.
put it like, you know what I'm saying?
But does
Like,
that
really
make-
top level stuff?
Has he ever? Ace
That don't
Hood,
make you a
Ace Hood might
producer.
be one. I feel like he working with. That's like this. It's kind of like the Phil Jackson conversation. Like Phil is a great coach, but he worked with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Shaq, Kobe. Like, was he really a great coach? You know what I mean? Like, has Khaled ever not worked with the best artist ever in the world?
How do you get to work with the best artists in
By
the world?
being, yeah.
Does that make you a good producer? Then?
I'm saying, how do you get trusted to work with the
I
best
don't know,
people in
nigga.
the world being
By-
terrible?
Yeah. That's so.
Money, nigga. I don't know what the fuck the nigga did, but that don't mean he's a good producer.
No, I don't know about that, bro. Like,
I feel like
He,
a producer.
whatever way he got there don't make him. What if he's
No,
a
what
geek,
I'm-
I don't
what-
care. That don't make him a good producer.
what I'm saying, like, what I'm saying is he working with the best.
Shanette,
people.
what up? What up?
I'm
Shanette
saying-
says, hold on, real quick. It's a direct
Yeah, go ahead.
direct comment specifically for me. Greetings.
Oh my god.
Let me see.
Yeah, I'm gonna let y'all read that. Man.
That's beautiful. Big love to all present,
Present.
especially I make man beats.
Oh wow.
Big shout out to Shanette, the self-care stylist, for chiming in. For sure,
Period.
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
What I'm saying two things. That one, I don't believe that you consistently work with the best people being trash.
Being trash. No, I agree.
Two, what I'm saying is it's a matter of whether or not you just believe the stuff that he says he does in the studio. But what he described he does, that's not making a beat, is producing.
And that's why I think we need to clarify, because there's
Let's-
always
let's
this.
discuss the parameters.
Yeah, there's always this thing where people like, nah, if you're a producer, you're a beat maker. And no, it's a difference. It's a clear difference, and people don't want to recognize that, but that it is. And I would consider Khaled. I've heard he made beats or whatever, but from what I've heard,
done
We
seen
seen
him.
him make
you know what I'm saying. But I've
We done
the
seen
songs
it.
and
We
the
know he
records
can't do
that the songs and the records that he has put out.
Good
Everything
point,
that I've heard
Otaku.
has been on some. He's
Yeah.
producing them joints.
Really quick, Otaku says he says this specifically to Unique, not to the rest
Oh
of
my
us.
gosh.
He says that he worked with Mike before he was Mike, though. You can have a great hand, but don't know how to play it. Are you talking about Phil Jackson?
Mike.
Yeah.
No, Mike was very Mike
before
before
Mike.
Phil
Say
Jackson.
Mike
I
was
don't.
Mike.
Doug Collins and Mike.
These
Yeah.
people who just work there, bro. Like, you was there. There's no way you say that. You know what I'm saying? Anyway,
Nah,
big shout
Mike-
out Otaku. You know what I'm saying?
Mike was definitely Mike.
Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Not
Like,
just unique.
Mike
Clearly
was
was not there.
It was more so unique.
Absolutely, he was very much
He was
Mike.
very Mike.
I'm gonna say Mike came in the league and niggas was like, oh no, he's special.
Yeah, he was 37 points per game.
Absolutely,
Before
bro.
Phil.
He probably just wasn't the greatest
35.
team player, but he was Mike.
That's like saying Steph wasn't Steph until Steve Curry. He was very much
Bro.
Steve Curry, bro. I mean, Steph Curry.
Yeah. So yeah, man,
I guess there is like I've always known there was a big difference between producer and beat maker, but like I just feel like DJ Khaled. Well, I guess I could put him in the category. Here I go. I guess I could put him in the category of a producer, seeing what he put out under his name, but I also don't feel like he's the producer of the thing, seeing that he was just the man pointing things around. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was just giving direction. He was more so a manager than a producer. He managed the situation properly to make sure the product got out effectively, but he didn't produce anything.
but isn't that your job of a producer is to see the idea through?
So now, I think a producer is more than seeing an idea through.
Mm-hmm.
That's my question with Khaled, and I just don't know. Like these songs, niggas be sending verses. Like, when does he sit down and artist? What he does is more of a management A&R. I don't know what A&R does, so maybe I'm doing it wrong. But he's like more of an orchestrator of things. Like, whatever the fuck that title is, he orchestrates the shit out of some shit. But Drake, them niggas be sending like it. There's no development. You don't. What you finna do with Drake? You finna tell that nigga do this shit?
But even with
Exactly.
that though, like think about it. If you got the top niggas sending
what
you
up?
songs, sending you references, sending you verses, you still have to decide like, okay, let me pair this verse with this verse. Let me
Shit
put
not
this
hard.
artist.
Niggas a Drake.
Hold on, fam. Hold on. Let's discuss this, bro. Let's get into this. All right. first and foremost, I want to set some groundwork, some ground rules, right? Like, you know, it's very possible, right, for X producer to have a great song, and then Y producer to have a great song that's just as good as X producer's song, but those two producers not be equal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, like, yes, we can look at the results of Khaled and say, wow, he consistently has these smash hits, right?
Right.
And sure, that can be a part of the evidence of what he's doing, right? But he could still be a not so great to mid producer having extremely great results. The same way there are mediocre coaches in the NBA, right, who have trophies and rings because they had great players.
Shout out Doc Rivers.
You know what I'm saying? Right.
that's real.
Now what I'm saying, I'm leaving the space there for us to say we cannot only judge DJ Khaled off of the results, right, of the success of the songs. Now, with that being said, so now that we created that room where he could have great songs consistently over 10 years and still be, you know, a mediocre producer, I think it's important to note, eerily similar to what Kid said earlier, right? Like, let's just say two people produce the same song, right? But producer A looped up the sample, producer B played everything, right? Both songs are equally as great. Are those two producers the same skill level?
No.
No, exactly. And so I think that in this discussion, when we're talking about Khaled and those like Khaled, honestly, if I'm being real, I don't even think we can discuss Khaled in this, because in order to get to the heart of whether or not you can be, you know, a good beat maker or a not so good beat maker and be a producer, I think we need to know more about what a nigga is actually doing, and we don't really know what this nigga's doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I don't
saying?
even
So
know if
right
he's
now we're having a super hypothetical conversation when we could be discussing somebody where we actually have more information about what they're doing.
For sure.
I think though there's two things. One, I would also ask, just in that an example of, like, you could be a mediocre producer, get great results. Can a great producer consistently get mediocre results?
I don't think so.
Can you be a great producer and not have great songs as well? In that same way?
Consistently, like,
Like a mediocre producer can consistently have great songs. Can a great producer consistently be producing mediocre songs and still be considered a great producer?
I don't.
Hitmaker.
Wow.
So
that's-
I'm just
Hold
want to.
on, real quick. We got more love for me specifically coming up. You know what I mean? I'm actually not joking on this one.
Oh shit.
That's a dope shirt, man. I want one. You know what I'm saying? Yo, check it out. You know what I'm saying? Unapologetic Garments Designed. It's available currently at the Memphis Grizzlies store, FedEx Forum. Pull up.
Go
You
get
can get
that.
one. Big shout out to Sinette one more time.
Oh, you better
For
hurry up.
sure. Yeah, these is kind of
Those
running
might
out
be-
swift.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I just wanted to kind of leave that space, but the other part of it is, I think, okay, we clearly know that great producers aren't, across the history of great producers, a lot of them ain't touched the drum machine, right? So, but I think because we talk about producers in that way, do we have to make a distinction between hip hop producers and producers? Like,
You do.
You
Like-
definitely do.
You do. I believe you should. Otherwise, we're just going to be
definitely do.
running around in
Yeah.
circles.
Literally.
And Quincy Jones is going to end up winning every conversation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely think we need to talk about
Yeah,
hip hop. Really quick,
definitely.
let me chime in right quick. Otaku Sauce says, you ever worked for a bad manager before? They can F up a wet dream of a lineup. That's a wild statement. If they can't get them to work correctly. I'm also thinking of this from a perspective of someone outside the studio, though, for sure. Not the Doc Rivers shot. Yeah, Doc Rivers had to get the
Bro,
shot.
Doc
man.
so when I say hip hop producers, obviously there's a distinction in genre,
Very
but
true.
are the rules different to being a producer in hip hop than being can Quincy Jones, not being a beat maker, be considered a hip hop producer in the first place?
That's I think that's
So it's
interesting.
it's a difference between just making beats and actually put like that's what I'm saying. Like it's
Like it's
It's different.
to being a hip hop producer. If we do we need to make a distinction between general producer and
Yes.
hip hop producer?
Definitely.
And is a prerequisite to even being a hip hop producer the ability to make beats?
I think is different with hip hop.
Diddy is definitely a hip hop producer. That
Definitely.
nigga do not make beats.
I'll say this, and I'm saying this globally, right? Like, put some respect on hip hop's name, right? And I say that to say, like, we keep, like, I don't know. This kind of I don't want to get too political with this. I'm gonna just say this, like, there's a reason why nobody cares who wrote an R&B song, but people care who wrote the rap song.
Yeah,
There's different rules and regulations over here.
definitely.
Put some respect on hip hop's name and its ability to require different things to assume greatness.
That's right.
Right? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. What you would do in another genre may not measure up in hip hop.
It will not.
You know what I'm saying? Or I think that they're trying to change that every now and then. But I'm just saying, like, this was created and managed for different reasons. It had a different reason to exist. So we got to be okay with it having different rules. Now, with that being said, inside of the world of hip hop, I absolutely think that you can be a producer and never touch a beat machine, right? But but just like everything, right? Just like anything,
It's level.
like it's levels to this shit. Absolutely, you can be a producer. Like let's just say there was a Quincy Jones in rap, right? Right. Let's just break it down in terms of like an equation, right? Let's just say we have a Quincy Jones hip hop producer, somebody who never touched the beat machine but consistently made hits, right? Okay, are we gonna say that another Quincy Jones in hip hop who has the same effect, same amount of hits, but does touch the beat machines, right? Which one of those is greater?
Yep, that nigga that touch the beat.
Okay,
I mean,
right.
I
And
mean,
so you can be the guy who doesn't touch. It just means that. But if you do, we're going to consider you better.
Right. So I just
Definitely.
wanted to establish the ground rules. Okay, because so you don't have to necessarily make beats, right? Okay. Then I think the question is, can you be a great producer and not a great beat maker? I think the answer is yes.
Diddy is the Quincy Jones of hip hop producers. That nigga does not touch the beat. But
Slim
that
Jim
nigga do.
says,
But Diddy,
there is definitely a difference between the two, though, for sure, no doubt.
But he don't never get brought up in like no producer, like niggas, like
Conversation.
no beat,
At
like no
all.
beat heads is like, ah, yeah, Diddy.
Yeah,
you know what
nobody's-
I'm saying?
that's a
Like,
fact.
nobody-
That's real.
Even Jermaine Dupri.
Jermaine Dupri is both. Like that nigga.
I was gonna say
he's
that's
insane.
really be-
he really be out here.
That's a great like Jermaine Dupri versus Diddy. If you gotta, if I'm picking JD every
Facts.
fucking time because
Facts.
he's best of both worlds in all cases,
Writing.
sampling, writing, like all of that shit. Like,
So damn, you
I don't know
can
if
be.
the parties was as extreme. With
yeah.
I'm dying.
his methods may not have brought the best out of people.
Yeah, I feel that.
I don't know,
that.
but
We-
we'll see.
This man,
Yeah.
his-
Sound like
I
you
wanna
willing
see-
to adopt these.
He was trying.
You sound like you trying to have these same methods, my guy.
This man trying to
We
be
might we not accepting that in
I'm not. I'm just
unapologetic.
trying to have a-
I'm letting y'all know
we
right
trying to
now. We
see
not.
what makes a great producer. There's a lot to go
A lot to go into.
a lot outside of the studio.
That's
Damn.
crazy.
We'll see. We will not.
Not you by yourself on that one, bro.
Ty Bucket says, would love to get in on the next producer sample challenge y'all have. No doubt, no doubt.
Let's get it.
We'll keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying?
Facts,
We'll
facts.
keep that in mind. Big shout out to everybody in the chat one more time. Checking us out. Everybody on YouTube checking us out. Hell yeah, man. Feel free to continue to engage, post questions, and drop comments and refute some of the nonsense that some of these people are saying up here, man.
Yo, was Ghost producing one of our topics?
We started on it, but we didn't solidify
Okay,
that if that was gonna be one.
because I think that also is something that goes into the process of how great or not great we can consider hip hop producers. Again, because there are different rules in hip hop, right? Especially for rappers. Now we have seen them shifting and the general public's view shifting, but like I don't think there was ever a time where Well, let me say this. I don't think that ghost producing was always accepted. I don't think so. I think it was ghost producing for a reason, because
You was messing with
saying?
fucking with
Like,
niggas'
and part of
legacies.
paying your dues was like, if you were in that position, to not say shit, because that was gonna make the main producer look bad.
Yeah, nah. I've definitely seen interviews where niggas once was like, "Yeah, I produced that for Dr. Dre." Then like the next interview, probably a week later, like, "Bro, no, I ain't produced none of that." I'm like, "Damn," but
Yeah.
that is a
You know what I'm saying? But you know, we look at somebody like a Dr. Dre. We know that nigga was using ghost producers, and we also know that he was touching shit himself too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not
right. It's not for
bro.
debate.
not
We
finna-
know, yeah,
we're
yeah.
not playing on Dr. Dre's name at all. But like,
Yeah, he just had
are those marks against him? Right?
I don't producing it. I think this shit okay now. Like I think ghost producing is turned into like co-credit. Like we might co-produce or some shit like that.
That's
Or a nigga might
interesting.
send you a loop.
I'm saying in terms of his legacy and greatness, like being great. You know what I'm saying? Like, does his history of using other people's, this Timbaland's history of using other people, like,
Nah,
is
'cause-
that taken away from Timbaland's greatness?
No, I don't think so. But I think most people don't really know that. I think you like that's a still of very much like if you niggas don't know Danger came from
Right.
Niggas don't know a
Yes.
lot of that shit. Like I feel like it's still a very much like if you know thing. But in the producer community, I feel like you do. Like I feel like niggas do be like, oh nah, he got that shit from that early Aaliyah shit. There was a nigga in Memphis making them drums and shit like that. Like I feel like niggas do talk about that.
What
I
I'm saying-
haven't heard.
So I'm saying that's like, okay, if we trying to compare producers, then if you got
Like, if
more,
you-
if you
if-
got more ghost producers, more cold credits, that's
If you compare,
those are negative marks
if you
in the comparison.
If you compare Pharrell and Timbaland, I'm going Pharrell because I know that nigga, him and Chad or Neptune's Timbaland, him and Chad did everything. Like I'm gonna go that way. Like, I feel like that's
Yeah, real quick. BHS ROTC 13 says, I just came here to say Quincy Jones definitely touched the beat machine and was even a face of the earliest ones ever. Yeah, I don't think anything we were saying was whether or not somebody had followed him his entire life and determined whether or not he touched the beat machine. It was the fact that Quincy was known for orchestrating stuff without necessarily using the instrumentation. So he was just being used as an example for that. I don't think any of us actually know what he touched and didn't touch in his lifetime. Slim Jim says, most producers who get to the next level definitely become more executive producers and allow people like Scott Storch to shine. But it still says produced by Timbo and Drake. Did anybody really allow Scott Storch to shine?
Scorch, you had no choice. Scorch was fucking
piano man.
fire, bro. The piano man,
piano man.
bro. But that has
Bro, that
me,
was a great beat, bro. Timbaland versus Scott Storch was a great beat, bro. We need to bring
bro.
that.
Has
But
me
yeah,
thinking.
I mean, you think of stuff like Still Dre, and you just be thinking that Dr. Dre, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Dre is crazy for producing this. Scott Storch.
Bro, but that has me thinking like, does the respect doesn't change when you're at a certain level? Like, is certain things accepted once you reach a certain level? It's like, well, you know,
Like, once you so famous, and
Yeah,
big,
like,
it's
do
of course,
people
you ain't got
overlook
time to
that?
be- You ain't got time to be making all his own beats.
like do people?
Once it's just the same way we were talking about Madlib earlier. Like it ain't like we know he can't. Like we know he
Yeah.
can. Like it's just a collaborative. He found out at some point in his career, me collaborating with these people extends my career, and two, it makes better music than if I did it on my own. I mean, for real, like. The only reason the Neptunes get the pass because the nigga he collaborated with was a part of his group. Like he just kept them. They formed one nigga. Like collaboration is always. I feel like we discussed that here before.
Form one nigga.
They formed.
Nigga, fuse.
They
up.
fused and took over the game.
That's right. You just gotta call it a group, and then
You good? You good to go?
The problem with Timbaland, his group switched.
Slim Jim says, LOL, he was, but same time, he was just a ghost.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, Scott Storch.
Yeah. Scott
Scott
Storch.
Storch.
I feel like Scott Storch had to slick fight to be recognized. bro.
Literally.
You know what
Nah,
I'm saying?
it's
Like,
crazy.
Literally.
yeah, like if it was up to Dre and them, that man would have stayed in the cut forever, bro. You got people like him, Mailman, still out there trying to claim it.
Man,
You know what I'm saying?
and they trying to get their name still.
Keep me astonished.
Yeah.
Focusing.
I don't think anybody allowed bro to shine. I think he had to come back from rehab and say, fuck this.
Yeah, hold on, man.
Yeah.
I did this shit.
Like,
Him had to make videos. I played that
Yeah, bro, I had to really
went on
just
tour.
man, you had to do
shit,
beat
nigga.
breakdowns of other niggas'
Social
songs.
media came out. I
Remember
played
that
this.
shit.
Nigga.
Damn. In the club, bro. I promise I didn't know. Bro. I was like, man, this nigga did
Everything, bro.
Still Dre, nigga. I ain't know he was even alive. I mean,
Damn.
I ain't know he was around. I said alive. I meant around. I ain't know he was
I'm gonna
around.
take y'all even further, bro. Did y'all know Scott Storch was a part of the Roots?
I seen it. Yes. I seen it. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
a
In the
white
early
nigga
days,
in the
Early.
in the
Yeah.
White
early
nigga
days,
in the
we were
Say white
keyboardists for the Roots, bro.
That's so. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's Scott Storch. But nigga, Mike Daniels.
Yo, Scott Storch really one of them ones.
Scotty.
Yeah, for real.
That's crazy.
He really out here.
Damn,
For
Mike
real.
Dean is a great comparison too.
Yeah, them niggas really. Nigga Mike
Bro,
Daniels was
D,
some-
hey.
You just gotta
Like,
smoke hella shit and
Smoke
just
hella
play
shit.
while you
Yeah.
with your cigarette or blunt in your hand. That's like the vibe.
And be white.
And
damn,
white,
to be
exactly.
white. I don't know, bro. Yeah, so I guess you can't be a dope producer.
Swiss Beats, bro. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Done.
Swiss Beats, bro.
Okay, so I guess are we adding the skill of I guess selling the production as being a quality of being a producer? Because the story that I hear about Swiss Beats is he basically sold this beat like he gave the vision and made niggas believe that this beat was amazing.
Yeah, but he also like effectively made the song. Like it wasn't just like he sold the beat. Like Swiss had a whole hook and ad libs and general ideas of how you supposed to rap on it and everything, So I mean, he sold the song idea, and I think if you can make, it doesn't even have to be a great song. I think if you can make a trash beat a decent song, that is something phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, straight up.
There's plenty of those out there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think
Damn, so is that one of those situations where it's like it's not where you are? Like what you be saying, it's not where you are, but it's where you came from.
Yeah, it's the
That make-
trajectory.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
Hey,
so
so-
really the better producers is the one who got the worst beats that still make
I'm done.
amazing songs.
I'm done.
Hey, so
Those are the
I'll-
better.
Cash money,
Damn.
cash money hoes is
Yeah.
is crazy. That is the wackiest beat.
Damn, so that's
Bro.
got to be the next.
Is that the
that's
wackest
next
beat?
era.
My man, yo,
Cash money hoes is that is a crazy whack
That's
beat, bro.
bro. This got to be the next era of our producer career.
And the
is
fact
to
that it
make
was a sample, bro,
trash
shout out
beats
son.
with amazing songs. Like that's the skill, Joe.
I-
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm thinking that. So
That's
like,
what we trying to do?
Yeah.
I'm gonna let y'all make the trash beats.
I'm thinking of the, like,
bro.
we gotta make the trash beat.
we gotta make it.
Y'all
That's
got
a
it.
challenge.
That's
For
a
sure.
challenge.
Y'all got it.
Hey, bro, that just got me thinking
That
of like,
is a dope ass challenge though. Like I just want to
don't know,
see
bro.
if y'all niggas can make a trash beat on purpose.
Man.
it's tough. But that has me thinking of Soulja Boy, his whole like run.
I just said that earlier. Them
Like-
simple ass beats got that nigga paid. I just said that shit.
Trash? Nah, yeah.
Not all of them, but it was a
All
few.
of 'em. I
It
ain't
was
said
a
all
few.
of 'em. Some
I
of
was
them
like,
trash
Hold on.
as
Okay,
hell.
hold on, really quick. Let's just go down the line. What's
Bro.
a trash beat but was a good song?
Cash money
Soulja
hoes.
Boy challenge.
Soulja Boy.
Cash money
The
hoes.
best folks in
Cash
it.
Money Hoes.
Nigga, what's that? Bro, I'm gonna go through Swiss whole catalog.
Yeah.
What's the deal? What's the deal? Mix that? Stop.
Dun, dun,
drop.
dun, dun,
Hey,
dun.
That was some New York shit. Hold on. That was some New York.
I turned this nigga mic out because hell no, bro.
Hold on. It was DMX, bro. I ain't gonna lie, DMX.
Y'all know.
That beat.
Hold on. Y'all know how much I do not rock with Swiss Beats. I do not rock with Swiss Beats. But that beat is hard as fuck. That beat is hard.
That was DMX, bro.
I can't think of one right. I can't think of like a specific one, but I will say my gut is telling me that there is definitely a Neptune's joint that's out that was like
Yeah.
a mediocre
Nah, he
ass
got
beat
some
with
tracks.
a hard
He got
song.
some
Neptune
police
definitely got
joints,
some
yeah.
tracks like
He got some
Okay.
police joints. It's like,
Man, that drop
I
it like
can
it's
see
hot,
that.
John.
What?
I ain't even gonna.
No. See, here you go
I
with
was
this
feeling
again.
iffy
Here
about
you
that
go
motherfucker
again,
when it
bro.
first came out.
Sometimes you
That
can't just
beat
be
is
saying
fire,
shit around you
bro.
because you
I'm
just be
dead
taking it
serious.
too far.
Oh, what?
It just be bringing up like the most recessed, crazy thoughts that you.
Bro, when that song first came out, niggas was like, this beat is crazy.
It was alright.
What?
If Neptune's got one, it might be the Ray J. Wait a minute joint.
Bro, first off,
That's not hard, though.
Hold on, time out. All right, I think it's important to try to think about these beats. Like, imagine hearing the beat before you heard the song.
Exactly.
Right. So with that being said, right, like, if somebody had walked in here, right, and just played you the grinding beat,
I love it.
without there's no pusher, no, you know what I mean, malice.
That shit would
It's
be
just the beat.
You crazy?
It's just
That
hold on, time out. Are you like, yo, this beat is ridiculous,
Hell
right?
no.
Or are you
Yes.
like, or are you sitting there like, yo, that's it?
I think so, bro.
I love that
Last time
beat,
I heard
bro.
that jump was a commercial. It was a 106 in Park commercial, and Pusha was not on there. It
Bro,
was just but I think it was the time period too. I had never heard those sounds.
That's
before.
what it was. I know for
whatever
me.
that trash can sound, I
That's-
had never heard that shit before.
I think by the time that melody comes in, I'm in it.
I'm locked, bro. That's what. That's what it was for me. And like, for me, that beat,
No.
it gave me like instant inspiration. But for one, I've never heard these sounds, and it was one of them days where I'm like, I closed the lock up, like, oh, hold up.
Yeah.
It reminds you instantly of that beat or something, or you just beating on the table, and you like, bro, I can like those. That beat was one of the ones that was like, let me know, like, oh no, this.
We got a comment
We can do
in
this.
from Nikita. She says, "Unique is insane."
And purity.
Oh God, shit, because what?
Yeah, had to make sure we shout that out.
Bro.
Salvia said, "Gucci Mane, I think I love her. Trash beat, good song."
Gucci Mane, I think I love it. It's crazy.
Hold on,
Do
hey,
that to Gucci. Don't we ain't having no Gucci shame on here. All Gucci.
Nah, that beat is fire.
But he did kill it.
You know,
they
I
did
didn't
the
realize
melody
it,
on that
but,
was.
like, I think I agree that the single ladies beat. If somebody had just played that
Bro,
instrumental,
yeah, you're right.
The single lady track. That jump was trash.
yeah. If
That
somebody
jump was
just played that
They
instrumental,
had
I
niggas
hate that
clowning
song.
joint on there.
I hate
Fuck
that
with
track.
that beat though.
It took Beyonce to
That
make
track
it.
is trash.
The chorus thing.
I do think that it's like.
That is one of
I think
them.
it's the
Yeah.
song.
It's just it was the end for me. Like
Soulja
that's all
Boy,
it like,
bro.
when it got.
if nigga
What?
played
Milk-
the milkshake beat without Khalees,
I fuck with the milkshake beat.
yeah, you
I
fuck
fuck with the.
That beat was fire, bro. That beat was fire.
I fuck with it for sure.
That beat was fire,
Yeah, facts.
bro. I'm just thinking Soulja Boy. I ain't gonna lie, like he had an era, but if I heard them beats by itself, bro, I'm not.
Hell no.
You know what? Y'all heard the song "Pow" by Soulja Boy? Run with a black gun and can't see me. Soulja Boy tell him I'm on the beat. Did you see the release yet? No, don't think so. Still represents until I go. Just roll all the way back to the phone. We used to post up at the green
Nah,
soap
we
with my
ain't-
niggas up
Oh,
on
no,
that.
that was
You know that hoe too. Period.
That shit hard. But that
Fuck y'all
joint,
niggas.
man. So I think that's one of them beats. If it had been played, it'd have been like, okay, that's it. Type
Yo,
shit.
real quick, we running out of time. Did we ever talk about Sign versus Independent? Like,
Nah, we did not, because
We
we
running out
was
of time,
locked in, man. I mean, are we?
You might have to just postpone that one.
Yeah, we can say that for
I
the
don't
next
know,
one.
bro. We got a few minutes left. We got like 10 minutes. Got 10 minutes left.
So tell me what the question is, because when you came up with the question, I feel like I had issues with the way it was stated.
Yeah, because I think initially I was referring to, and I believe we had different,
Come on, Ty Boogie.
more
with
so
the
of
grinding.
like what he was saying. I was the JD clip of him talking about like being independent versus being signed, and based off the perspective you gave was like JD was basically saying that independent artists want the same thing that you would get basically if you were signed. So it's more so like, is there a plus or minus in this day and age of being independent versus being signed?
So that was what he was proposing.
Yeah.
The follow up was crazy. Folks was really clowning him and I think there are benefits, right? But I think what that made me think of is just that, like, I feel like people want to be independent, want to be signed to an independent label, that kind of thing, without even considering what being signed to a major would mean for them as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's more so trendy to desire
I think so.
independence. And it's more like, I feel like you would just be looked at like you crazy if you said to somebody, yo, I'm trying to get signed to a major label. Like,
You
he would
only
look at you
look
like you was
that
dumb.
in these days.
No, I
but
think
back
it's-
then that was the goal for a lot of artists.
I think it's what who I forgot. I seen some interview and I can't remember who it was, but he basically was talking about like people wanting to be independent, own your masters and all this stuff. Like, and yes, that's what you want. The overall goal to have that control. But he was like, own your masters, and what does that do for you if your masters isn't worth anything? And I feel like that's where the idea of like being signed, being on this platform, allowing that to be part of your brand, like I think Matt stated earlier, like the attention that comes with being on that platform, which brings up your value and your stock of your work. Versus if you're independent and you're not known, you're still trying to figure it like
At
crack
least you own your
through.
masters, though.
Yeah, you own it, but you owning your masters for what? What is your masters worth if you can't do anything with it?
Like,
Like,
but
that's the argument.
That's only if you can't do anything. Like you can there's music always being released every day. There's always some kind of creative something being released every day. I feel like you owning your masters lets not only you know, but the people know, hey, this person has ownership of whatever they're doing, and that makes you feel good about if something does happen. Like, who's to say that it'll never happen? You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
Like, and I just feel like us owning us having ownership over our things is very
It's black people.
no just
I mean, but I'm saying it's people independent.
Shout out to
It's people that's independent and own 100% of everything that they have, but they still trying to figure out how they gonna eat tonight. You see what I'm saying? Like if your
but at least
masters
you own
isn't
the right to eat.
how if you can't your masters isn't doing anything for you. That's what I'm saying. Like again, if it's I feel like it's like you said, it's trendy to be independent. Everyone wants that.
It's just like betting on yourself. You want to go get a job, or you want to start your own business.
Yeah,
I mean, yes, but if you don't, where are you going to get? I guess that start from, like betting on yourself. Even if you're getting signed, it's still you betting that you can do whatever's needed to get signed. Because, like you said, still some people still goal is to get on that platform. You're betting on yourself to know that I can do this and make this deal work. It's people that sign terrible deals, but they just needed the platform. Like, I know this ain't what I want this to look like, but I know what door this is going to get me
I
into.
think something is not. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut y'all off.
you
I just
good.
know y'all never gonna let me talk if I don't cut y'all off. So I think that something that's important to note is that, and this exists way outside of the music industry or anything, right? Is that everyone wants to feel chosen. Everybody wants to feel special, right? And I think that I mean, I know that. I know people close. I'll leave it at that. Who are much more likely to represent that someone else chose them than the thing that they're building, right? Or the thing that is homegrown around them, right? And I think it's just because like people want to say to the world, I'm special. Not just because I think I am. Look, these people over here think I'm special too, right? And people are just looking to be valued. And so I think being picked up by a major label, I honestly believe is secretly everyone's in the music industry's dream, right? Or at least their first approach to this. Like I truly don't think. I think if you told somebody, hey, you know, you can get picked up by a major label today, right now, or you can grind for 10 years, own your masters, and have a relatively successful independent career. I think most people are going to choose getting signed today.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, do I think if you were to put this up on social media, do I think most people are going to say that that's what it? No,
Nope.
absolutely
Of course
not.
not.
Absolutely not. Because you're absolutely right. I do think that there's a lot of virtue signaling.
Yeah.
And like, nah, man, I'm trying to do it on my own my masters. I'm trying to, excuse me, I'm trying to be smart, like the Master P's, like the Dolphs, like the you know, saying the Gottis, all of the Jay-Z's, all the people who did it, and now they have longevity in a career, and they have a really serious business mindset. I think everybody wants to be perceived They want that. They want to be looked at as somebody who thinks like that. But I think if somebody handed you a microwaved hamburger today, you would take that over the steak you got to wait an hour for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I to follow that, like, everyone brags and independent, but most people don't even, like, whether you're independent or with a label, most people don't have the vision for their careers to figure out what they need to do to get to the next level.
You're absolutely correct, bro. This is something that I used to ask. Once a year, I used to say, put something on Facebook or social media and say, hey, if you all had $50,000 right now and you can't be like, I'm gonna invest it. Nah, nigga. You had to use it to further your career, like directly, right? Like, what would you do, right? And I always get a variety of answers. But the main point that is always overwhelmingly clear when you look at it, right? It's how many people are saying that the distance between them and success is money. And how many of those people have no fucking idea what they would do with the money if they had it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're just using a lack of money as in, hey, dog, this is why I'm not where I'm supposed.
Yeah.
I could be famous and doing all this stuff too, but I ain't got the money. Well, bet, here you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Now what?
Right.
You have no fucking idea, and I know you don't.
And I think that's
You know
the
what I'm
same deal with, like, you being independent and owning your masters. If you don't know what to do and how to move your stuff, like, your masters are worthless.
Just give them away.
No,
It's not even
Nobody
just
know
giving
what to
away,
do
but I'm saying, like,
That's dumb.
you finding people like now that selling their catalog for a craziest amount of money or whatever the case may be. But if you're independent and independent or on a label, if you don't have the idea of your own plan of where you trying to go,
But what kind of people are selling their catalogs though?
it's major. Like, who was that? Someone recently, someone
Yeah, Justin
big.
Bieber.
Yeah, Justin
Justin
Bieber
Bieber
just
sold
like sold his catalog. Like,
It's mad people.
Tina
so,
Turner
you know,
just sold
yeah.
hers.
like
But
they're
that's the
doing
thing,
it now.
But these are people that are already established though. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, 'cause
Opposed
that's
to
where it makes sense. Like nobody
yeah,
wants
yeah.
to know not established. Who's paying for
Exactly.
Right,
Your
I
masters
get
are
that.
they don't have the value yet.
I get that, but it's still good to have your masters just in case they become valuable.
I see what you're saying because I think the other part of it is like because I get what you're saying is like okay if you don't know a lot of people would say like everybody tells you to sign up for Sound Exchange, right? And the number one pushback you would normally get from that is like well they take like 30% or something like that, and the rebuttal is like okay. But you're not collecting, so you can get 70% or 0%. That's basically what you're saying. The other part of it is like there's also just like I'm not saying it's right. It's not, but like the other part of it is we know that there's a history of like you don't know what to do with this. And so me as a label, as the company or whatever, I'm taking all the risk, I'm making all the investment, so I'm going to get the majority of this whole shit. And a lot of people feel like that's not fair.
Right.
Because you made the music, right? So you feel like you should get is equal or the majority of the share of this pie, but that you don't know what to do with.
Exactly.
Right? But the idea that you make something and somebody else gets the majority of the possible benefits, right? Even if they're doing all the moving around of it, that just doesn't feel right for a lot of people. And I think that part of it too is a barrier. So like to thinking that way, to thinking that 30% is better than 0%.
Yeah, I think I agree. I just think that there is a lot of illiteracy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding of the value of certain roles. You know what I'm saying? I also think that the smoke and mirrors of the music industry is also what creates these issues, right? Because I think that if you knew how much Def Jam invested into the success of LL Cool J or whoever, you know what I'm saying? Right? And you knew the risks they took, right? Right? And you understand all the relationships they had to create, all the things that they had to manage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think you might look at that contract with him and with LL Cool J and Def Jam differently. You know, but you know, labels aren't out here. You know, they're not hey, everybody, here's public domain for everybody's contract. Like,
Right,
you know,
right.
they're not letting that be known, and I don't think that they should.
Right.
But I do think that there is just like just a lack of basic information. I also think that labels have moved in a predatory way for a long
Very
enough
much.
time, so
Very
that
much.
even when they are moving fair, they still have to prove
like,
that they're
yeah.
moving
That's
fair.
right.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Yeah, I agree.
But I agree with what Kid said, man. Like I do think that, you know, I think that I don't think people understand the balance. I also don't think that when people say we're gonna move independently, again, because it's not very crystal clear what major labels are doing. When people say they want to move independently, I don't even think they know what the fuck they're even saying. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think you're realizing what you're setting yourself up to have to compete against. You're thinking you're competing song versus song.
That's not it.
No, you're competing machine versus machine.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where you have to look at it in an unemotional way and determine like
Right.
whether or not that 30%,
Right.
And
you
I
know,
think
how much that means to you.
Yeah, and I think
You
that's
know?
where most people when they yell the independent games, like it's the emotional attachment, but they don't understand the risk that is taken on like from the on the label side. It's kind of that the I guess warehouse like CEO versus just the assembly line employee who feels they should get paid more, but they don't understand like the meetings that the CEO is going to and the risk, the amount of money that they're putting behind to make these things happen. And yeah, this factory might not be nothing without these employees, but it's still just it's a fraction of what it takes
It's
to
usually
make this pop.
Who put up the money? Is that's really what
Right.
it
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
most times comes down to. But I do have a question. Do you feel like, all right, if somebody said like, if you had to go out, you made like 100 beats, right? And
Done.
and
Period.
and you want to get these junts shopped in place, or just let's just say you want to get them synced or whatever, right? And a company approaches you, so you can either do this on your own, or a company approaches you and says, "Yo, I'm gonna guarantee you X amount of money." You know what I'm saying? Let's just say like a million,
Right.
or however you say 5 million, something dope,
Right.
something that you feel good about, and they $1 million, right? But the caveat that million that you get is 20% of what your music made,
Yeah.
right? They get 80% of what your music made. Do you feel like because they were able to get that, that's a fair exchange?
I think it.
So just so that we're clear, let's just say $5 million is made off your music,
Right.
and you got $1 million.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be fair? And they gave you that $1 million up front.
I think it's the leverage because if I'm no one knows who I am,
There you go.
like that plays a part.
There you go.
Can you yourself make
Exactly.
$5
That's what you think
Yeah.
about. So
Okay.
for me, is more so like I bet if this is going to get me in the door, I know I can make more music, and this is going to allow me to surround myself with other people that I can connect with to build on my own. I bet. Let's make it.
To me, it's just simple. The answer to this question is very simple. What is fair is what you can negotiate. If you, it's as simple as that. There is never going to be, and I would question someone's allegiance to a victim mentality, right? If you thought any different, right? If you don't think who and what you are and what you've built will determine what you should get
Right.
in that negotiation,
Yep.
I think you should leave the music industry. I think you should quit, right? You have to build a you that can say, actually, my G, let's split it 50-50. Or actually, my G, let me get it 90-10. You know what I'm saying? Because I guarantee you, Michael Jackson could walk in on that same meeting and say, I'll give you guys 3%.
Yeah, facts.
And
Because
you
you,
make 97%. And they would be
Literally.
like that.
yeah,
Literally.
because it's Mike.
Literally.
You know
Right.
what you're getting with Mike. You know
But he has done the work.
exactly.
To have the leverage, right? You don't just get leverage because you walked into the building called the music industry.
Right.
Right. A contract is a negotiation. You have to understand who and what you are and what you've done. You're an asset,
Yeah.
Right.
right? Have you built your asset to have leverage?
Exactly.
And if you
Especially-
haven't, well then acknowledge that and understand where that puts you in the position of the percentages.
Right. And so in your choices are to enter into that contract with that understanding. Well, hopefully after you've done that,
Right.
you enter into the contract with the hopes of being able to use this to build your leverage or what have you, or you get out of it, you lose your $1 million and build your leverage. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So you
that's
can
it.
come back with a better, because emotionally you just can't deal with, I would not fault anybody that says like, nah, I would never take those splits over something I made, but I respect it with the understanding that you're going to go
Exactly, and do the work.
and build that up to have it, understanding that okay, you're not getting $1 million, whatever.
Hold on, bro. We got a nigga from Moscow in the chat.
What?
Yeah.
Moscow in the
Let's
building. Let's
go.
go.
I'm sorry I said nigga, my bad. We got a person from Moscow in the chat.
You see me, I think that's how you say it. You see me from Moscow. What up?
What do you
Let's
do?
up?
get it,
What's up?
family.
What's up?
Moscow,
Shout out to
that's
Moscow,
crazy.
I think that's how you say it. Let me know if I'm saying that right. Big shout out Moscow.
But yeah, that's why I think the issue is everyone yells the independent. Everyone wants to. I started from the bottom. This and that, but it's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to build yourself up to where that story?
Yeah.
You know, and especially like for me, being on the other side and being in this, actually learning along the way, like learning that what actually goes into these songs to make this shit pop. Like we just seen Dolce pop out and people like, oh man, that's amazing. But it's like, do y'all understand the bags that went behind?
Bro,
Because
bro.
Dolce, as amazing as she is just another amazing motherfucker down the
Bro,
street.
Look at Dolce versus what's my boy name? This independent that preach La Rosa, L.A. Rosa.
La
Like,
Rosa,
look at those two differences.
Facts.
Like
Yeah, he had to.
That's the difference you're talking about. Like as much as he works, as much as he grind, Dolce just pop up.
Man,
and she
Literally.
dope as
She
hell.
dope as fuck, but we know what they put behind her.
Right, but now I will say though that like it's not just about the success. There are other things that come with being independent,
Yeah.
such as
That's okay.
autonomy. Damn, the ability to dictate your brand,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
ability to dictate when and who you work with and who you put out music with, like, and sometimes like people are okay with like if Doechie's getting 5 million, right, and La Russell's getting 250, but it's 100% of it. You know what I'm saying? Like that means more to a lot of people, and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not even like a knock because those other factors. You know what helps you sleep at night.
Yeah,
too. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
great.
That I think to me like that's. I think you have to determine what do you value.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you want?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because you're absolutely right. Like, for a lot of people, it's not about having $10 million.
Right.
It's about having $500,000 and nobody's telling me what I should and shouldn't
That's
do.
right.
Exactly.
And I get to set my, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are going to choose that. And that's $9.5 million difference.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they determine their life. You know what I'm saying? You know, I have not been in these exact scenarios, but I've been in eerily similar scenarios. And every time I choose autonomy.
Yeah.
You know, I choose to operate on my own in my own way. And I've definitely left scenarios that other people would have swore, you know, would have been incredibly lucrative. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
But then I would have been having somebody tell me when I could take a 15-minute
That's
break and go
right.
to the bathroom
That's
and
right.
where I got to be in May. Like,
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what
No,
I'm
that's
saying?
real.
Like, I'm not
That's
doing
right.
that. You know
And
what
that's
I'm
the
saying?
thing,
Like,
but
I'm just being honest.
I
That's
feel like
right.
everyone would champion that. Everyone would champion the La Russell. But like you and La Russell, y'all know the work that y'all gonna put in to make sure y'all shit pop. Everyone be like, yeah, independent, but not everyone's gonna do the work.
Yeah, I mean,
Like you can give folks the blueprint and they won't do the work.
I'm not saying that.
That's facts.
I'm not saying that like if you put in the work that guarantees you gonna be
Right.
Well, what I'm saying is there are people who work hard that don't achieve this like commercial success or a certain level of
Right.
autonomy in the independent game that very much work hard, and I think that is a risk of the independent game.
Yep.
That is.
But I will say that I don't personally believe that anybody that would I don't feel like you can even become Doechii without having a similar work ethic as La Russell.
I think I personally think. Okay, I'll just say this. Like to me, the determining factor of whether or like if I was talking to somebody came in and like, yo, mad. Like, should I try to get signed to a label or should I try to move independently? You know what I'm saying? Like, there would be a few obvious questions like, big shout out my man Hez. There would be a few obvious questions like, all right, well, what kind of capital do you have? Right?
Right.
Like, who are you? It's going to cost money. You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of capital do you have? But honestly, my number one determining factor is knowing that if you're going to go independent, then you have to be the artist and you have to take some role in the machine.
Yeah.
And nothing is more important to balancing those two mechanisms than heightened levels of discipline,
Yeah.
right?
You say
That's
that all
it.
the
Like,
time.
an artist has to be, like, structure helps everybody, absolutely everybody. But like, you don't become like Jay-Z doesn't happen just because he's dope with the pen.
Exactly,
Like, you know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Like he had to be a structured business mind
Right.
to do his part in creating Rockefeller. You know what I'm saying? And becoming entrepreneur of the century.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm always like, look, you know, if you're an artist who's like more likely to move with the wind, more likely to move with how you feel in that day, more likely to like wake up, not feel great and not aim to push yourself, you know what I'm saying? And you're just like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I actually just want to live a feel good life that is comfortable, blah, 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 blah. I think in any industry you're gonna have challenges to that. I just think that getting signed, like people are more willing to deal with a version of an artist like that when
Yeah.
you're signed. You know what I'm saying? The independent space where you're literally trying to compete machine to machine, we will tear you to shreds
Yeah.
if you lack this discipline and this structure.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'll give you 38 days tops before you pass away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
From trying to compete in that world with lack of structure or discipline. And so that I'm usually looking for that. I if I find that people are more likely to be passive, more likely to think like an employer and ask, what do I do versus go out and figure out what you need to be doing, right? Like
Right.
that's the split in the road of like, okay, no. I actually think you need to be looking for a label.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But if you have a hunter's mindset, right?
Yeah.
That's the beginning to me of like, okay, are you capable? Not are you willing? Are you capable? Do you have the designed mechanisms internally that would allow you to succeed independently?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I agree. But even then, I just feel like we hear and see so many major label signed artists being shelved and just being stuck, whatever. And I feel like it almost seems like it's an independent game when you get signed to like
Yeah.
even fight for the resources that somebody locked you into
Yeah.
the ability to have access to, if that makes sense. You know what I'm
that makes
saying?
sense.
Like,
Yeah.
it just
Definitely
seems like
heard
you
some
still got to
situations
be
like
a G.
that.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, you definitely do. It's just not at the same level. Like,
Yeah.
but you're absolutely right. Like, but I think when you're signed to a label, especially if you're like a super sought after talent, right? You're more likely to be allowed these missing elements. You know what I'm saying? Like you're more likely to be babysat, somebody to call you to remind you, wake you up, grab your hand, tell you where you need to be at. Like you will have a handler, right? On the independent side of the game,
Yeah,
you need to
none
be
of
as
that shit.
structured as the handler
That's
Yeah.
because you are the handler.
Right, because when you
Yeah.
sign, they're paying someone to make sure that you do all the other stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at least when you're signing, you know who to somewhat, for the most part, like you know the direction of who to talk to and whatever. Versus when you're independent, you have to figure all that shit out. You know, you got to build the relationships. You have to go out your way to find these special people.
And be dope at what you do.
Yeah,
Facts.
exactly. You know,
Facts.
you got to wear a lot of hats, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't fault anyone for choosing any direction. I just my goal, if somebody comes and asks me these questions, I'm not swaying them towards signed or independent.
Right.
But I am trying to help them understand themselves
Yeah. That's
and what they want and what they're currently capable of doing to help them make the decision for themselves. Right? Like, I think a lot of people, I do think that what runs rampant is a lot of people want what they're told to want, right? And so sometimes you just got to help them realize what they actually want, right? And then once they realize granularly, hey, wait a minute, this is what I actually want, to go independent or to aim to get signed becomes a much clearer decision.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Agreed.
Indeed. Well, shit, man. We definitely had that conversation and went a little bit over time, but that's all good. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to everybody who chimed in. We got a healthy amount of people
Very
chiming in this time around on various platforms. Big shout out to everybody who was once with us on IG who said, "Yo, we got to follow them to YouTube." Please. I'm a real YouTuber, right? Because I'm about to tell y'all, please like and subscribe. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead and hit that whatever.
Hit that
you know what I'm
link,
saying?
yeah.
Hit the like,
Notification bell.
hit the
Notification bell.
notification bell, so that way you don't miss the next episode. You know what I'm saying? Or you can go ahead and get the Unapologetic World app, which is available for iOS and Android devices. We will know you every time. We'll let you know as long as next one of these goes on. It goes on every Saturday, 2 p.m. CST. Sometimes we start a little bit earlier. Sometimes we start a little bit later. Sometimes I just be going live randomly making a beat. You know what I'm saying? If you got the app or you subscribe, you'll catch that. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to everybody's questions, everybody's engagement. It's another great episode of Type Beat, an unapologetic podcast live from outer space. My name is I Make Mad Beats, and my cast is
LJ1S.
Unique.
C major.
Kid Maestro.
D. And with that being said, stay dangerous, stay safe, do both or do neither. Peace.
Peace.
Bitch, are you jealous?
Oh shit. Here we go again.